just real quickly jump into the offense for just a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's one thing to love how the players are playing, especially the last game. They did an amazing job. That Pitt game was an instant classic. It's going to be one to watch and treasure. Pitt fans are going to be choking on that one till 29. It's gonna, like you said, it's got Narduzzi on the hot seat. That being said, check out the post game interviews from Nico. Tremendous. He sounds like a seasoned NFL quarterback. He's got the maturity and the poise. Uh, Check out Ty Edwards. First time in front of the microphone, that young man did a fantastic job. Check out Gallagher. Gallagher had another. He was another one who quietly had a great game. Scored very high in the PFF. I love what we're doing on the field and the things that the players are portraying in front of the cameras. Fantastic. I'm sure it's carrying over in other areas too.
Now, rabbit hole time. Okay, we're gonna go down a rabbit hole. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Okay. This might get. Some people are gonna love it. Some people are gonna hate it. The uniform announcement for the Utah game is the 1965 throwback. What are your thoughts on throwback uniform?
I'm a big fan of uniforms in general, and in particular throwbacks. My favorite helmet is either the gold, the bright gold, not the old gold, but the traditional Notre Dame gold looking helmet with the state outline. Right up there with it is the white with the gold with the state outline. I'm a fan. Now I know a lot of people hate, because they're like, it doesn't look like the right West Virginia blue. For the time period when it's actually accurate.
Yeah.
And really, I think it's going to look pretty good because if you look at the San Diego Chargers had a very similar kind of concept, powder keg blue, and they enriched it the same thing with the old gold. It looks great on camera. It really does.
Yeah, a little splash in the I was at Dick's and they had those t-shirt hoodies that are just kind of like t-shirt hoodies. I'm like, that looks good. I'm gonna get it. And I look and it's like $90. I'm like, I'll spend $90 on this shit. I put it back up. But I didn't dig them at first, and they're growing on me. And I think as the game comes closer to, we're 10 days out for what? No, we're just little 12 days out from that game.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're growing on me. And I think it was the fact there was that powder blue in the middle and the gold is just so like Notre Dame-esque. So I don't know. Jury's still out for me. I do like, if I'm going to go retro, I'm going to go retro to a time and place where the West Virginia was the most successful. And that would probably be the really ugly 05 uniforms with the stripe, the sash up the side is like, you see guys still rocking the OG originals that don't fit them. So that's what I'm saying. But anyways,
I love that look.
Back to Kansas. So, there is a website, 304 Uniform, where you can actually see what they've worn over the past, how many umpteen years. It's a pretty cool website. Check it out. I think they're going to wear all whites this coming game against Kansas. Do we have a time announced for that? I was looking to see if I could find that. I don't see a time announced.
I hadn't seen one yet.
I'm looking right now, kids. So, anyways, so what are your thoughts about the offense? Are we going to see three quarterbacks next week?
Before we dive into that, can we address John Kelly's comment about the spread real quick?
Yeah.
The spread started off nearly at 14, I think. It might have been 13 and a half. And it's coming down. And I think that's obviously it's reflective that money's going on the West Virginia side of the house. I think there's too much uncertainty yet for folks because this, people can't get past the Ohio loss. And I get it. And quite honestly, Ohio should be upset about that because they're getting very disrespected. Ohio's a good ball club, although they got their hats handed to them this last Saturday. Ohio State looks like a juggernaut.
Yeah, Ohio State is legit. So is Penn State. I hate to say that living up here, but Big Ten has two schools this year that are legit. I don't know about anybody else in the Big Ten, but Ohio State and Penn State are the ones to be reckoned with. Michigan, jury's still out. Michigan State, I really don't know. But
they might steal a few wins.
They might. ACC, Florida State looks pretty good, pretty darn good. Around the bend, you did see UCLA had nobody in the stands. I mean, my local high school team probably tripled the amount of folks that were there. But let's hit the chat real quick, and then we're going to close it out with final thoughts. So the only QB that hasn't played yet is Max Brown, and Max Brown really has a good arm. Mountaineer Paul did a great show last week about Max Brown. He had Jackson Johnson from the Voice of College Football Alabama show on there, and he talked about Max Brown, how he has really nice quick release. Max Brown played at Florida, has experience against SEC schools, not just one or two games, multiple games. So I'm just surprised we didn't see Max Brown. I'm surprised we didn't see Max in front of Fox.
But makes me wonder if he's maybe still not 100%.
Yeah, John says, I realize they scored 31 points in SEC Stadium. The odds place still don't trust it. We're still underdogs in every Big 12 game. Yeah, no one believes in West Virginia. And you know what? Until I didn't believe in West Virginia when I was walking towards my car. Yeah, they were down 10, 6 minutes and 50 seconds left. They just looked flat. They had a freshman that threw 2 interceptions. They couldn't move the ball. They couldn't run it. They had established to run earlier, and it just collapsed. It looked like their linemen were just getting suffocated. There was no push. I thought it was a conditioning problem, but all of a sudden, when I watched it later that night, the offensive line looked like it was energized. Maybe they picked up those batteries I was throwing at those pit cheerleaders. Ohio held tough for three quarters. And that's just one of those things where I see it in high school. You see it in more so in college, where a team doesn't have the depth, doesn't have the bench, and their front seven and the other front, their front and their other they can battle it out and they're even. But it's that third, fourth quarter, you just lose your legs when you're on the field that long.
Yeah, and I didn't mean any disrespect towards Ohio. Let's be clear. Ohio State is. I already told a friend of mine. I think they're going to contend for a national title this year. And when I say contend, they are my pick.
No, I agree. So 9 offensive linemen on the field was not. They did a power package. They did a power package when they did. They lined up almost like a wing T with a heavy left side, and they had like guards on the left. That was Curtis D 316. That was dynamite. I'm going to give you a star. That was dynamite. Caden the Diesel freak. He is our resident Ohio State fan. Big win for them over the Bobcats. They contain. It was hairy for the first 2 quarters though, Caden. Yeah, I didn't have coffee all day, so I'm deciding this late to drink some. So well, I never have problems sleeping. I'm a maniac like that. But so to close out the show, Eric, what do you think? What are your thoughts about the Big 12? Do you have any favorites? I mean, Arizona. I don't know. They look okay. Iowa State looks okay. Texas Tech looks good. BYU. Utah.
And
Utah. I think everything goes through Utah. Utah is going to be the litmus test. It's going to be the measuring stick for the Mountaineers on how good they are in 2 weeks.
And this has happened because Utah. I mean, they have a lot of resources. That's a bigger school in that sense. They looked really good. BYU was one of my favorites. as usual, the Big 12 is so level as far there's so much parity
Yeah.
is the word that you hear year in year out, and it's true again this year. I tell you, I'm not discount like you said. Our litmus test, first Kansas. Kansas is not to be overlooked. They are very dynamic, especially with their quarterback. But I just want to see us put up a good game against Utah. Um, it's the first season. I won't be too heartbroken if we don't win. But man, I'd love to pull off that miracle.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. And here's the other thing. I'm going to pull up some of the Big 12 schedule here real quick, just because you can't. After this win, the one thing that makes college sports so great is the fact that there's a little bit of hope. And when you have that little bit of hope, you're like, okay, we might be able to win a few games. And here we have Texas Tech and Utah. This is going to be a game, guys. We talk about a game to watch, and last week, or was it last week? Yeah, last week we were pretty spot on a few of those. But this Texas Tech game is going to be a banger. Both of these teams are coming into Morgantown. So if you are a Mountaineer fan, you're definitely going to want to watch this game, because both these guys are going to be facing the Mountaineers. I have no idea. I think Texas Tech pulls out the win and Utah just limps into Morgantown.
That'd be fine by me. I think Iowa State. I mean, I'm completely overlooking them. That's another program. We talked a lot of respect.
Yeah, these are just some games I thought I'd pull up here just to see, because that's the one that I just thought was fantastic to kind of.
Oh yeah.
So that's the game that I'm definitely going to be watching. It's a noon game. This week West Virginia plays at 6, which is kind of a nice time to watch a game, because you can put something in your crock pot, get some work done around the house, and then kick back and not feel like a total shitbird because you didn't do anything all day but watch college sports. Not that any of you guys in the chat would, because you guys aren't shitbirds. You guys are definitely, and we have some of the smartest folks in the chat. But John Kelly says, yep, big noon kickoff. We get both of them at home. Yeah, so those are going to be big games. But as the schedule starts flushing out, we're going to really see Rich Rod kind of come into his own. Now, here's the thing. I said it last week. I said, pump your brakes. I said, sky's not falling. I'm not usually right. I'm glad I was right. But it was one of those forks in the road. If West Virginia would have lost it, Eric, it would have been, fire and brimstone. It would have been.
Oh my God, those are the exact words I was going to use.
Oh, he would have been catching hell, and it would have been terrible. And that fork in the road, West Virginia gets a little bit of love after losing the opportunity to play on, on game day.
Game day.
So that the fork in the road, but there's still a long road ahead, because this is still kind of like the 2003 season where they were 8-4. And guys, be realistic. West Virginia is probably not going to be, if they go 4-2 over the next 6 games, I'll be ecstatic. I'll be just jumping around and having a great time. But they might go 3-3. That's still not bad.
No, these teams. And Shane, real quick before we sign off here, I wanted to get your thoughts. I'd love to hear from folks in the chat if they can, real quick. This Pitt victory felt very much like the Louisville victory.
That's exactly right. You hit the nail on the head, Eric. We talked about that a couple weeks ago, how this season needs to mirror that, and that's the pivotal change when Bernardic came in. Maybe when Bernardic got hurt and Pat White came in, maybe that Nico coming back in was that, because he seems to, guys, if you don't remember this, was it 2019 when Nico played 19 or 20? I think it was 20. It was right in COVID. Nico played against a premier school in Arizona, and they were down with 2 minutes left. I think it was 18 points. And onside kick, recovery, score. He willed them back to victory. And it seems like when he's under pressure and it's really bad, he shines. And
Cool hand Luke.
Just like Cool Hand Luke. Exactly. Without the eggs. But John Kelly says, something's different about this team with Coach Rod. It feels like old WVU football is back with spark passion. I think the biggest thing, Eric, John, chat, I think the biggest thing is the fact that you don't have to have the ball last. You can count on the defense to make a stop or two. That is reassuring. That's something the Mountaineers didn't have against Pitt last year. That's something that they didn't have in multiple games last year. It was like, okay, we scored too quick. Oh, shit. They're going to drive down and score. We can't stop them. That was the theme last year. This year, defense travels. It's going to be the difference in 3 games for the Mountaineers. But
So 3 guys listened to 3 guys for the game, and somebody made an excellent point. I think it might have been Tony. For those of the younger generation who weren't here for Rich Rod 1, the notion that you never felt out of a game because you felt like at any moment the offense could catch fire and the defense could hold. The excitement, that sense of at any moment this could erupt, and the fact that you had a defense that was just a pack of wild dogs that were coming in from everywhere. What you saw last Saturday, that instant classic, that younger generation, this is what we've been talking about.
That's that for them, My instant classic was my freshman year watching West Virginia beat Miami. Right before they beat Miami, the announcement came over the PA that Boston College had upset number 1 Notre Dame, and you knew West Virginia was going to move up in the top 3. And all they had to do was beat that Miami team with that 4 minutes left, and they pulled it out. And that was the biggest crowd at Mountaineer Field of all time. I just want, I would have to say that, that was exciting, but I think I felt more excitement in that 2006 season, like watching the whole season. But guys, it's gonna get back there where we're closer now than we were a week ago. A week ago, I could barely see the trees. It was just everything was so far away. Now, okay, West Virginia could play in a bowl game. West Virginia can win a bowl game. West Virginia you can see a pick 6. The fact that you could actually see it in your mind, contemplate a defensive score just blows your mind. That wasn't even, with Neil Brown, you might as well just believe in Santa Claus and Bigfoot. Or Bigfoot in a Santa Claus outfit.
Honestly, the notion of Rich kept talking about hard edge, never quitting, and he was saying that in the post game. That's what we have. You have something to believe in. Let's try to be cautiously optimistic is probably a great way to say it, and let's watch, because when back in 2005 after we beat Louisville, that season turned out to be incredibly special, but it was a great one to just sit and watch and learn.
Now, Eric, you must know exactly what the outline is, because we're going to finish this off with, now, here's the pivot. Looking at West Virginia's schedule, I don't think they beat Utah. I don't think that happens. The win at Kansas will determine whether they are sniffing at a bowl or they make a good bowl. That's what it comes down to. I hate to say it, but you have to be able to handle your business on the road. A couple road wins will make the difference of a bowl that we're like, what bowl is this? Where's it at? Southwest Missouri State Municipal Stadium. in Springfield. What? You know, no. We want to, as fans, we want a decent bowl. Want it to be warm weather. I don't want any bowl in North Cackalack. Okay, it just that's just West Virginia East for me. I don't want North Cackalack. I don't want a bowl there. I'm sorry, Charlotte. I'm sorry, but give me like somewhere in Arizona, Florida, hell, California. I don't care. Just not Cackalack. Not New York. Don't want a pinstripe bowl. I don't want to freeze my nards off. Don't want to do that. But totals, I think for Rich Rod, 8 wins is a solid B plus. Anything above 8 wins is an A. Uh,
Oh my goodness.
I'm shooting for 8 wins. 8 wins, Eric.
Oof.
8 wins.
You haven't given up the faith. I got to tell you, I started off with 7. My problem was, I felt 7 was very doable, but I think most everybody was counting on a win against Ohio. So that does hurt. So, but that's the thing about the Big 12. You never can tell. And it's not against, it's not unquestionable at this point still. But you're right. If we're going to be, talking about finishing in that kind of area, you got to come away from Kansas with a win.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Eric, you said it. I back you up. Recruit wise, on paper, you have players that have played together for a year or two under Pat Narduzzi. At times, they looked a lot better than West Virginia. West Virginia had dogs. West Virginia had heart. They didn't have a lot of the players. It seemed at times that they weren't as well coached as Narduzzi's team at times. And then all of a sudden, the bottom fell off, and it looked like no one was even coaching them. Rich Rod has the pulse of this team. He knows exactly what these guys are doing. The fact that he had pulled those quarterbacks and was rotating through, I was one of the people in the stands like, what the hell are you doing? When Fox threw that second interception, I literally almost crapped my pants. Like, it felt like someone punched me in the gut, and I was about ready to just either throw up or shit myself. I was so upset because that was such an ugly interception. And I know I was embarrassed for the kid. I mean, I was embarrassed for the kid because you have 62,000 people watching this kid just lay an egg after he looked so good that first game against Robert Morris. He looked so good in the first drive. He's energetic. He was getting a lot of pressure, but he just has to tuck it and suck it. And he didn't do that. That is maturity. That's something that'll come. Unfortunately, it will come. But I'm just hoping when he becomes a better ball player, which he will, it'll be with the West Virginia Mountaineers. And these lessons, these lumps that he's taking with the Mountaineers, that, other folks don't get the benefit from them. Like, sometimes coaches move on and you get your lumps, you know what I'm saying, Eric.
But anyway,
let me see what Eric has to say. I agree. Any bowl will be beneficial. Tim Green, I think will be 6-6, possibly 7-5. I think that is definitely the target. John Kelly, I think there's chinks in the armor of the Big 12. At least we don't have to face Alabama, Miami, Ohio State. Yeah, Miami is playing ball, and it's like how they have eco. You're a fisherman. There's certain, like, when you see mayfly larvae and you see certain caddisflies and certain things in the ecosystem, it's healthy. When you see the hurricanes on Sports Center and you hear about the hurricanes and The Rock is saying the hurricanes are going to lay a whooping on somebody's candy ass, college football is healthy. The pulse is good, and all is good in college. Because guess what? I don't care. Notre Dame's up and down. That's like a heartbeat. It's like, oh, Notre Dame lost? Well, whatever. Who cares? Army's terrible. Well, they've been terrible since, 1945. They haven't been good since back in, the 40s. But Miami, I'm not a huge Miami fan, but I'm a fan of college football. And Miami's entertaining. When they do have a good team, Florida State, entertaining when they have a good team. That's a matchup I want to see. Alabama, they could take their lumps here and there, but there are just certain teams that it's better when college football has them in the win column. Do you want them in the win column all the time? No. I don't know. So Eric agrees that Kansas is pivotal. Freshman in a bad position. The kid is not even probably. Eric, we were trying to figure out how old he is. He's probably 2 whisker hairs older than 17 or 18. He's just a baby. That defender's just standing right there. Yeah, it was a duck. It's just like the guy's like, what? You want me to? Okay, I'll take this ball. Satter still. How is? Yeah, that guy should be getting his AARP card pretty soon. Thanks for a great show. Well, we aim to please. We're over our limit. I have to pop smoke because it's about that time. Eric, we had a great show. What's our next show? When are we doing our next show? Thursday?
Thursday. What time?
Well, that's going to be 8 p.m. Thursday. Monday nights is 9 p.m. 8 p.m. is our call-in show. So if you have, we try to answer some of the chats and play off the cuff, but if you have some questions, think about them, put them in the chat. We're going to get a little bit more in depth on Kansas, talk about some of their previous games, match Kansas up to West Virginia and see who looks like they have the edge. And we're going to have a great show Thursday. Guys, you got to tune in. We're getting back into our stroke. I took a few months off in the spring. We're getting back into our stroke. Eric's on board. It's my co-host. Things are looking bright for the Mountaineers. It's a good time to be a Mountaineer fan. And guess what, Eric? What are we going to close the show with?
You got to put the flag up there.
Great state of West Virginia.
There we go.
Good night.